Hi, Abraham. I once submitted a question about saying, like, I ask if it's enough to say, relax, have fun, and everything will come. And you clearly agreed on this one. So it's quite similar to your new process of doing the tense, of going more what's fun. So kids clearly play all the time, right? They do this to just because it's fun, so they feel better most of the time, I think. Yeah? And why do adults stop playing? What is it like? Should we all just play more, have more fun? And then it's the question of trust, like how can you trust more that that's all you need to do? Like play, like a child.
Well, we wouldn't say it's all you have to do, because there is step 1 and there is step 2 before you do step 3. So maybe it's just a matter of deciding what step you're in when you're in a step. In other words, it's fine to consider. It's fine to make choices. It's perfectly fine to look out into your world and acknowledge, I don't like that, and I don't like that behavior, and I choose not that behavior for me. In other words, step 1 moments are going to happen, because you cannot evaluate contrast and make choices without subjecting yourself to some variety. Your question, why do so many adults not continue their playful nature? They got too serious about step 1 and too much misunderstanding about how the process works. So they're trying really hard. They're trying really hard to make it happen. They're trying to be the step 2 part. They're trying to earn it, be worthy of it, trying to make themselves worthy, because they've forgotten that they already are. We take your point, and we're all in with you. Being more playful would really be a good decision. But when you think about it, when you don't feel playful, you just don't feel playful. Haven't you had the experience where you just don't feel playful because you're in a step 1 mode? You're in a step 1 mode. And somebody wanting to cajole you out of it or get you to be playful about it is just irritating. So really our answer to you is, accept that sometimes you're in step 1 and sometimes you're in step 3, and you decide which it is, and then move forward accordingly. Is it possible to just always be in a playful mood? Well, we're going to say to you, you've done enough asking in this life experience to keep yourself happily receiving for the rest of this life experience, and maybe 20 or 30 more life experiences following that. You've done a lot of asking. And so you could get into the receiving mode and just let what you're asking for in. But there is something that we really want you to consider. Esther talked to you about it in the email announcement that she sent out a week or so ago, when she realized that, oh, it's nice to be in an environment that is different to me and therefore new. But it was also quite exhilarating for her to recognize that the more she deliberately thinks and feels, and the more she deliberately renders inactive habits of thoughts, beliefs, patterns that are no longer serving her, that served her in the step 1, but don't serve her in the step 3 phase of her creative process. And so she came to this great awareness. Oh, the place isn't new. I've been here before. But I'm never been like I am right now in this place. My point of attraction continues to be new. So it works like this. You know what you don't want, and therefore you know what you do want. Or you know what you do want, and therefore you know what you don't want. But what you do want isn't as familiar as what you don't want in this analogy. But then because you're a student of deliberate creation, you think about what you want and why you want it. And you do your best to calibrate and feel good. And you do what we call the work. You get better and better at feeling good about this. And you do feel good about it. So now you've adjusted your vibration. Now you've moved from asking for something that you don't have to being a vibrational match to it, even though it hasn't manifested. And so now the gap closes and you receive whatever it is that you wanted. But now you stand in a new place. Now you are different because you ask and let it in, and now you are different. In fact, you were different before you let it in. You were different before you allowed it to manifest. But now it has manifested. You're really different because you did it on purpose. You calibrated, you adjusted your frequency, and now you've let it in. And so now you stand in a whole new place where a whole new set of contrasting experiences are going to show themselves to you. So your question is, could I just remain playful about it? You could remain easy about it. You could remain trusting about it. You could eventually get to the place where you really get it, that all you have to do is ask and let it in and it comes. And you will feel more and more playful, more and more easy. You see people around your planet that are like that. Many of you are becoming more like that every day, where you're asking and letting it in. You could call it playful, or you could call it interested, or you could call it appreciative, or you could call it clear-minded clarity. You could call it fascinated. You could call it eager. There's lots of range in that upper part of the emotional scale where you're in the state of allowing. We think fun is a very good choice. Fun, for many of you, still feels too frivolous because so many people said to you throughout so much of your life experience, well, it's not all about you, even though it is. Or you're not supposed to just have fun all the time, even though you are. Or you got to get serious if you're going to make anything important happen, which isn't true. In other words, there have been a lot of people doing a lot of counseling from the lower half of the emotional scale. And you've been trained into thinking that you got to sacrifice and struggle. And fun is just so far apart from that. Now, we don't feel that from you, presenter of this video. We feel that while you are serious in nature, that you're not apart from fun. We would describe you as more interested in things and more determined about things than we would say playful about things, because you've been sort of steered away from that playfulness that someone convinced you was too frivolous and therefore inappropriate. There have been so many disciplinarians in your world, but friends, your inner being is not one of them. Source energy is not one of them. That vengeful God that man has identified is made up by people on the lower half of the emotional scale.